Hello and welcome to the King's Challenge. I am so happy to be here with you today. My name is Zach Bulls, and we have an extra special guest, my beautiful, wonderful husband, Mr. Andrew Sartori. Together, we are the co-founders, co-creators of Gay Man Thriving. And for the last 7.5 years, we've been working with gay men all over the world to help them improve their quality of life, quality of relationships, and quality of connections. Gay men have a really hard time, especially when it comes to love and dating. And that's why we've decided to create this beautiful organization and events like we're hosting today. So I want to invite you to get comfy and buckle up because we are about to dive into a really beautiful experience today.
Hi, yeah, I'm so happy and excited to be here with you all. And yeah, do you want to dive in?
Yeah, let's jump in. I decided to put this challenge together because I see so many gay men unnecessarily suffering with not only attracting a partner, but keeping a partner. And today we're going to be diving into revealing the energetic patterns that are holding you back in love and dating. And I thought we'd start off by sharing a bit of our personal stories, our personal journey. Before I learned what you guys are about to learn today, there were many things that I was struggling with, really facing, that was negatively impacting my relationships and what my love life looked like. Andrew and I have been together for 8.5 years, but before our relationship began, I had actually never been in a really healthy, solid, thriving relationship for many reasons. And believe it or not, I used to be quite a dating disaster. So, for those of you who are single and really struggling to meet and connect and date high quality men, I've been in your shoes. Before I learned what you guys are about to learn, here are some of the things that I struggled with. I tried so hard to make people like me. I wanted so bad to feel loved and accepted, and I did anything that I could to try to be who I thought other gay men wanted me to be. I, like so many gay men, fell into thinking that the harder I tried, the more I put myself out there, the more available I made myself to the guys that I wanted, the more that they would want me. And so I tried to do and say all the right things. I tried to optimize my appearance so that they would want me. I would end up having sex right away, really early on, thinking that that would make them fall in love with me and want to date me. But time and time again, no matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did, I wasn't able to find guys that I was really into that wanted to date me. And it was so frustrating. I felt rejected and judged and alone, and I kept telling myself there must be something wrong with me. And so I was trying so hard to figure out what I needed to do or how I needed to speak so that guys would want to be with me. And after a while, I realized this effort, this way of thinking wasn't working. And I finally realized something needed to change. And in a very clumsy and time consuming way, with a lot of trial and error, no support system, I slowly began building security in myself. I stopped looking for external validation and I started finding my value within. I was still judged and rejected, especially for being an HIV positive man. Instead of taking it personal, instead of letting it really crush my confidence, I focused more on what I thought. And I really began knowing that I was enough. Even if other people did not see my value, it didn't mean it wasn't there. Just because some guys didn't want me, it didn't mean that others wouldn't. And despite having no real evidence that I was going to find love, I didn't give up hope. Instead, I did the opposite and I trusted and I doubled down on believing in myself. And I did enough work on my own to know that I was going to find love. I had built enough confidence in myself to show up authentically. And fortunately, that was about the time that I met Andrew. In fact, when we met, I wasn't his type, I found out later. But he later told me that it was my energy, which shaped the way Andrew felt when he was with me, that drew him to me like a magnet.
And my journey was quite different from Zach's before I met him. I had several long-term relationships where I fell so in love with the guy. I thought maybe they might be the one, and that was with three different guys. But all three of them ended in heartbreak for me. They ended with me feeling pissed off, hurt, upset, devalued. Um, Not fun, not fun. And at that time, like, and in the times where I was single, I remember feeling like I'm a great catch. Why is it so hard to have good connections with guys? Why is it so hard to just meet guys who just want to connect and are authentic? And then eventually I met Zach.
Hmm. And how did you feel when we met?
I remember, so I was into like beefy, big, muscular guys. Zach is a lot more muscular today than he was 8.5 years
It's
ago.
true.
Uh, but I met Zach at a volunteer event. I don't even know if he was gay or straight, but I found myself just drawn to his energy. I was like, oh, this is a nice guy. And when it was time for me to leave that volunteer event, I just remember saying goodbye to Zach. And something inside of me just felt like something inside of me knows I want to see this guy again. Like maybe we'll just be I was in a monogamous relationship at the time. I wasn't even looking to date. Things were kind of going downhill though, but I was still very loyal to my partner. I was not someone who would ever cheat. And something in me knew I wanted to see Zach again. And it was just his energy, and I would see him at more volunteer events. And every time I saw him, I just felt my heart was just uplifted, happy. And yeah,
Yeah. And you decided to leave your current relationship. About a week later, we went on our first date when you told me how strongly you felt about me. And yeah, we've been together ever since. But that wasn't the happily ever after ending that we had perhaps hoped it would be. It's interesting. It was really only the beginning. So many gay men think that once I meet the guy and we connect and decide we're together, then everything else just works out. That's it. I'm done. No more work needs to be done. Little did I know, little did we know, there was a lot more work that we both needed to do. And here are some of the things that Andrew and I experienced once we started dating, even after we fell in love, even after we decided to commit to one another, even after we got engaged and got married. There were a lot of things that we experienced that nearly led us to throwing in the towel. When we got together, I felt like Andrew just had swept me off my feet. We had a beautiful connection and so much love and so much chemistry and so much passion. We couldn't keep our hands off each other. But early on, there were things that really grew and festered over time that caused us to eventually get to a place with a lot of resentment, a lot of doubt if we were going to make it. And also having us wonder if we needed to look elsewhere to find the fulfillment and connection and passion that we were craving. Because as with most gay couples, with most relationships in general, there was a big element of codependency that was early on in our relationship that neither of us were able to recognize at the time. I noticed right from the beginning that he really wanted to nurture and prioritize me. He seemed to always be looking out for me and my well being, really cared, really giving, very generous. And early on, these dynamics, which felt really innocent and pure in the beginning, escalated over time. And what was in the beginning just really positive attention started to feel more of a needing energy, more of feeling like Andrew was always going to be there for me no matter what I did or said. And over time, I took his kindness and generosity, his self sacrificing, his selflessness for granted. And I started to expect him to always be there for me. I knew that if there was a conflict or a disagreement, Andrew was always so quick to want to figure it out and smooth it over or fix it. And because I saw Andrew always so quick to sacrifice himself for me and prioritize me and give me everything, it caused me to not value or respect him because I didn't see him fully valuing or respecting himself.
Yeah. So most of the clients that we work with are more like me. More like me than Zach.
It's true. Guys like me typically don't want to uh, change.
Yeah, yeah. Like the guys like how Zach used to be are not on this webinar right now.
Right.
And so I just want to share that because a lot of the things Zach was doing, you might not even understand. Why would someone even do that?
Yeah.
My life experience in general has been really caring about others, loving other people, wanting to see how I could help, how can I solve problems, how can I fix things, and at the core of it, that's how I would feel loved. That's how I would feel valued. If I did things for other people and then they were happier because of that, then I would feel good and valued. I had a lot of rescuer energy and I would basically put other people's needs before my own. So, hello, my partner. And then eventually I would feel depleted. I would feel tired. I would feel burnt out. And that was the opposite of what I thought would happen. What I thought would happen was he would appreciate me, or he would be a responsible, loving adult just like I was. And I thought he was going to be a team player like I was trying to be. Eventually, over time, I realized, oh, this is imbalanced. I feel like I'm doing and caring a lot more about him than he is caring about me.
Even though I had come a long way and done a lot of work to build confidence and trust in myself, when Andrew wanted to swoop in and save the day for me, it really taught me that I could lean back and I could expect him to kind of take care of me. And he took care of more of the household and paying taxes and bills and being aware of our financial situation and taking the lead in our business. And it really just taught me that I didn't have to try. And so I stopped trying and I became more and more and more dependent on him from a place of entitlement and expectation. But you see, this transactional nature, this codependency, is what really kills the desire and the spark. When Andrew would shower me with praise and gifts and affection and attention, it reacted with my energy in a way that caused me to take him for granted, that caused me to see him always being there, sacrificing himself, going above and beyond. And it caused me to lose my desire for him because it's hard to desire something you know will always be there no matter what. I'm not trying to justify my actions. I've learned from all of these experiences, and I'm such a different person today. It's all been a growth opportunity, and it's helped equip us to be able to help more gay men like you who are stuck in these patterns because we've lived
Yeah.
it.
Do you want to say a bit about why you were the way you were?
I was the way I was because, yeah, I had really been conditioned to rely on people and count on people. I was overly babied and overly nurtured as a child. And so it taught me to rely on others to do things for me. And I had a lot of what I call taker energy. While Andrew's strategy for life was to put others first and to be extra kind and generous and thoughtful to receive validation and feel important, I had learned to find people like Andrew to help me survive and get what I needed and do things for me. And I had more selfishness, I had more entitlement. And see, our energy reacts with other people's energy. Many of you currently in relationships may unknowingly be falling into this dynamic and wondering why your partner isn't showing you more affection or more attention or more praise, why he's not meeting you halfway. It's because you're probably overexerting yourself, overextending yourself in the way that Andrew was, teaching your partner that they don't really have to try because he's going to do the work for both of you. And that was the pattern that we fell into. And it wasn't until, as Andrew mentioned before, he recognized that it wasn't sustainable, it wasn't working. I wasn't rising to the occasion to meet him in a reciprocal, balanced place, despite him trying everything he could to inspire me and even talk to me about the ways that it felt like I wasn't showing up in a balanced way. I just didn't think I needed to try, and I called him on his bluff because he would end up backing down and almost apologize later for bringing it up. And so he was training me and conditioning me that I didn't need to change. So it wasn't until I think the last straw when Andrew finally, his resentment and his amount of settling for my inadequate and just bad behavior, um, until he finally set a boundary and really started honoring his boundaries that I saw, wow, I can't keep operating this way. And once that resentment and that distance and that just not knowing if we were even going to be together, once it reached a breaking point, we knew something had to change. And once we learned how to shift this dynamic, which is, by the way, what we're going to be getting to today, Andrew and I were finally able to instead have that balance, have that connection, have that chemistry, have that mutual desire, that mutual passion, that teamwork and that companionship that we all crave as gay men, as humans. We all want that partnership. And once we learn the tools that we're going to be sharing with you today and tomorrow, we were able to have that fiery passion, that fiery spark that we enjoy today. Would you like to
Mhm.
share more about once we learned the tools and skills and once we did the difficult work, what that's
Hmm.
been like for you?
Hmm. Heaven on earth. It's been so amazing. I just, yeah, yeah. I just know you love me no matter what. I know you appreciate me no matter what. Zach tries really hard now to, without sacrificing himself. Well, so here's the thing, we're both still works in progress. Like we're both not like 100% resolved completely of all of these patterns. But where we are now, like it's like I know he's got my back. I know I can trust him. I know if anything feels imbalanced, I can tell him. And he listens and he looks to see if there's anything he can do to change if I bring something up. Um,
Mhm.
the communication's amazing. Zach's an incredible communicator. Um, it just keeps getting better and better, honestly. Like this month, I feel like our love is bigger, more powerful than it's ever been. Last month, I felt the same thing. The month before that, I was feeling the same thing. Like we're literally on a path where both of us are so committed to our own personal growth, to our own ability to hold the highest energy we're able to have the biggest capacity to love, to receive love, to give love. And it's like it's honestly like I'm living the dream that I always had, which was a partner I could grow together with, enjoy life with, talk to about anything that I really felt like I wanted to talk to about, have fun together. The sex keeps getting better and better and better and better and
Yes,
better.
yes. 8.5 years in, we're having the best sex of our entire relationship. And so we want to share with you the fiery passion and the spark does not have to inevitably fade like it does in most relationships. And what we want to share with you are the energetic patterns that block us from being able to continue to grow as individuals and as a couple, to continue to have that passion and that spark and that magnetism that we share today, where we have so much chemistry and so much where our relationship is a get to. We've eliminated that transactional need, that dependency, and we both know that we don't need each other to be happy. We both know that we don't need each other to survive in this world. And as a result, we get to be together. We get to share our lives with each other. We get to be in a thriving monogamous relationship that feels so sacred and so passionate and so special and so connected. The sex that we have is transcendent because it's something that we know that we're not sharing with other people and frankly don't have the desire to because what we have is so meta in terms of the mind body soul connection. And this didn't happen until I started to see Andrew really embody what we're going to be talking about later today and know that he was no longer going to tolerate my bullshit. He was no longer going to accept me taking a step back and taking responsibility in the relationship and for my role, and that he was aligning himself to have a thriving companionship, a thriving partnership with an equal. And it wasn't until I saw that change within him that I realized, oh shit, I need to step up or move on. I could have found someone else to take care of me. And that's what I think a lot of people with this energetic pattern might do. But instead, I chose to rise to the occasion, meet him in this higher frequency, and really do the inner work that I needed to do because I wanted to be in this relationship. And now I get to choose to be with this incredible man. And what we have is so beautiful and so sacred and so special. And so, what we want to do now is, reflect this back to you because maybe you found yourself in this position as well. Maybe you were Andrew in this dynamic, or maybe you had some of the qualities that I exude, in either of these dynamics. Maybe you find yourself falling into patterns of not speaking up when you're not happy with your partner, or molding yourself to be something or someone that you're not because you think that's what they like. Maybe you're craving more connection or intimacy, but you avoid bringing it up because you're afraid that your partner might judge you. Or maybe you do bring it up, but it seems to make your partner seem even less interested. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know that these patterns are actually very common and you are not alone. In the last 7 years of doing this work, these are some of the most common mistakes we see most gay men making that are costing them so much peace and connection and ultimately what they could be feeling in a relationship. Many gay men feel like they're constantly in a state of chasing after their partner, proving their worth, silencing themselves to keep the peace. And what they typically think they're doing is by being more appeasing to their partner, they think that is what's going to actually get their partner's attention back, or that's what's going to foster connection. But in reality, it does quite the opposite. And so I realize our chat feature is not working for this session today, but you can do a Q&A where we can see what you're typing. And I see some great comments too that we want to come back to. But I want to ask each of you, how many of you have tried these things to reestablish connection with your partner? Or even if you're in the beginning phases of dating someone, how many of you have thought, if I just try harder, look better, go out of my way to do kind and thoughtful things for them, if I say the right things, if I plan the perfect dates, type me in the Q&A so we can see your responses. Type me in the Q&A if you've thought that that's the way to get your partner or the guy that you want to connect and engage with you. Yeah, seeing lots of me's in the Q&A. Yeah, you're not alone because it makes sense, right? Everything that we've been taught, what we see in society, what we see in movies, it makes sense. If we want connection, we need to go after it. We think we're supposed to prove ourselves and demonstrate our love and treat people the way that we want to be treated, right? Yeah. David says, was that way with a guy, never reciprocated, never. I initiated everything, including sex. Yeah, David, you're not alone. And we think that this is what we're supposed to do. Andrew thought this is what he was supposed to do for me to rise to the occasion to meet him. And he tried for years to inspire me by being extra kind, extra generous, extra thoughtful, extra giving, extra loving, planning the dates, planning the vacations, planning the meals, planning the intimate experiences. And it just taught me to expect him to always be that way because he seemed to love doing it. He was hiding the fact that it was draining and depleting after a while. And even when he would tell me, I wouldn't really fully believe him because his actions were showing me otherwise. This is such a common pattern. Yeah, Michael, I hear you. Um, you're not alone. What Andrew and I had to learn the hard way is
Hmm.
that this behavior, this overgiving and overtaking, this codependency, this transactional nature, these energetic sabotaging patterns were exactly what was causing the friction in the first place. By trying harder, by avoiding conflict, by walking on eggshells. Um,
Yeah, all of the things and there's so many pendulums too, and it takes a lot of mastery to have a passionate relationship that lasts, that gets better and better every year. It takes a lot of mastery. But another challenge we had was like Zach said, by avoiding conflict, that was one challenge. But another challenge was thinking I needed to try to fix everything like right now. So like make like trying to fix and solve problems that maybe weren't even problems right now. Like the opposite spectrum of avoiding conflict. So it's not to stop avoiding the conflicts altogether or just trying to solve everything right now. There's an authentic balance and sweet spot that has to do with knowing
Yeah.
yourself and your own energy and
And
your own way of being.
we'll get to that.
And that's something that neither of us had.
Right. So whether it's over functioning, over giving, self-sacrificing, expecting, demanding, taking for granted, or freezing up, shutting down, closing yourself off, overthinking, self-sacrificing, people pleasing. There's just so many things that cause this friction. You know, we were trying to force a connection when neither of us had stepped into the energetic state to make that connection happen. And here's why we see this happening. You know, a lot of gay men, a lot of gay coaches, a lot of the advice out there is so focused on what you should be doing and what you should be saying. And they completely neglect the most crucial aspect of keeping a relationship together, which is the energetic state that you bring into the relationship as an individual. This is where most gay men go wrong. Because from childhood, we as gay men, we've been conditioned to be malleable, to chameleon ourselves to fit the expectations of what's around us. Whether that's by hiding, putting on a mask, pretending, bottling up how we really feel, trying too hard to be who we think other people want us to be, modeling ourselves after, the perfect way to look, dress, speak. If you were like me as a kid, you lowered your voice and started changing the way you dressed and minding your mannerisms. We become hyper vigilant about what other people are thinking about us. Because if you're like me, you got picked on and bullied when people saw more of your effeminate nature. If you were expressive and like I was an artist as a little boy, and I just remember getting so bullied and called a girl and such awful names like that really ate away at my soul as a, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year old kid. And so I just tried so hard to be aware of what other people were thinking about me and be who I thought they wanted me to be. This is such a deeply rooted learned behavior. And so when we get into a relationship as adults, a lot of times we're still disconnected to, our most empowered self, especially if we're with a guy or if we meet a guy. If you're more in this type of nature of energy that Andrew was in, when you meet a guy that you really like, if you have that self-doubt, you're gonna put him on a pedestal and try to be all the things that you want him to be. And that's what Andrew did. But rather than, you know, bringing Andrew up onto the pedestal with me, it taught me to look down on him. It taught me to not respect him in the way that I should if I was in a loving, balanced, healthy connection. See, we as gay men, we fall into certain energetic patterns, which is exactly what we're going to be diving into more deeply today. And so without further ado, let's get into some of these energetic patterns and where they come from. Type in the Q&A ready if you're ready to talk about the most common energetic patterns that gay men fall into that sabotage their relationships. These are the most common self-sabotaging ways of being, ways of thinking, ways of feeling that cause so many gay men to lose the spark in their long-term romantic companionships, that cause so many gay men to continuously attract emotionally unavailable men that never quite rise to the occasion to meet or commit or give them what they're wanting. Type ready in the chat if you're ready to hear about them. All right, seeing lots of readies. Awesome. Ian, Steve, Joey, Julius. Let's do this. All right. So, Andrew, we'll let you introduce the first one.
Awesome. And so I'll share that. And as a reminder, today we're really talking about the patterns that block, that get in the way. And then tomorrow we're going to talk a lot more about what to do instead. Um, and as a reminder, this is for you, whether you are single or in a relationship. It's all about the energetic pattern that you're carrying as an individual
Yes.
every day in your life. This is impacting you every single day in your life, whether you are single or in a relationship. So I want to
Yes.
remind you of that too.
Yes. So I'll introduce it and I'm going to let Andrew talk more about it.
Okay.
So, number one, this is what we call caregiver energy. So, caregiver energy is when we overcompensate or overgive while compromising our own needs, wants, and desires. So, here's a few examples of what this looks like.
So the first thing that comes to my mind right now is how much like time and energy are you putting to how other people are thinking, how other people are feeling? How much, if someone's upset, if someone's sad, do you start to feel upset and sad with them?
Mm,
Do you start to feel like you're responsible to make them feel better? Do you place your own happiness, your own inner sense of peace and joy on how happy and peaceful other people are around you? And this goes for your romantic partner. This can go for work relationships,
family.
clients, colleagues, family. Do you maybe spend more time with your mom or your dad or siblings than you actually want to? Does do you get asked for to hang out with someone, family, friends, or to go do someone a favor, and you feel a sense of obligation, so you say yes, even though you would really, really rather stay at home and relax or watch TV or go to the gym? Do you find that maybe you're not taking care of yourself, like your body, your mind, meditating, like doing the things that you know nourish you more than anything else because you're trying to do more things for other people? These are caregiving traits. And in the relationship, it could look like frequently checking on Zach to see how he's doing and wanting to make sure he's always okay. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
those are
Yes.
just some of the thoughts.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, caregiver energy could be when, you're the one in a relationship initiating all the affection or the physical contact. And, what's really happening deep down is you're craving deeper connection or more intimacy or more sex from your partner. But instead of actually voicing that desire because you don't want to make them uncomfortable or ruffle feathers, you just decide to shower your partner with all the love and affection. And, although what's really going on, is that desire, but they don't actually reciprocate or give you that, give that back. Or maybe you are communicating, what you want and need, but your partner sees you not upholding your boundaries, not really following through and setting standards. You might be communicating your requests, but at the end of the day, you need their love and attention and acceptance and approval. And so you don't hold on to those standards and requirements that you have for yourself. And you're not even sure of what they are. It can look like the self-sacrificing, the people-pleasing, the overgiving, making yourself overly available to your partner or the guy that you're interested in. This caregiver energy can look like, if you're single and dating someone and texting, overthinking every text message to try to say the perfect thing so that they'll want to be with you, overanalyzing your phone and the messages that you sent if he doesn't respond back to you right away. It's just coming from this place of needing to be needed, needing to be loved, and putting others' needs ahead of your own. And it's just a really common energetic pattern that many of us as gay men adopt. In fact, most of the gay men that we work with at Gay Men Thriving fall into this category of caregiver energy. So let me explain where this comes from. So this energetic pattern, this energetic dynamic that you might find yourself falling into again and again and again is a learned behavior from childhood. Because as a kid, if you were anything like me or most little gay boys, you felt the pain of judgment and rejection. You learned to avoid that negative attention. And so you learned that it was helpful to mold yourself into what you deemed acceptable. In childhood, you were taught that you needed to act a certain way so that you could seek approval, acceptance, so that you could feel like you were surviving. And so this taught you that when you were overly kind, overly generous, overly thoughtful, when you did things that were pleasing to other people, you received positive attention. You received validation, whether it's from teachers or family members or peers. It made you feel important to be giving and kind and thoughtful. And as a result, a lot of your self-worth is associated with being of service to other people. And you learned how to be a great problem solver, a great fixer-upper. But this energetic pattern, as it has for Andrew and most of the gay men that I've worked with before learning the tools and skills, really bites them in the ass because they end up giving much more than they receive. They end up settling and tolerating and just not knowing how to break out of this pattern. And there's a part of you that doubts yourself, that doubts that you are worthy of being loved and you are good enough if if you're
Yeah.
not being of service. And that part of you that doubts yourself thinks that you have to overgive and overcompensate to be worthy of love.
Yeah. And these are some deep patterns that I clearly had where it almost felt like I couldn't just be myself and be completely loved unconditionally. I had to do something to earn the love. And that also very much can come from childhood as well.
Yeah. And this is exactly why when we work with clients at Gay Men Thriving who fall into caregiver energy, the first thing we look at is untangling the conditioning that they went through as children so that we can actually address it at its root and stop them from consistently showing up with that wound in their adult relationships. And I can't express enough how important it is to just understand how hard it is to do this on your own. That's why we have specific tools to get to the root of that pattern. Because with most gay men, they become aware that they fall into caregiver energy. Many of you had shared in the Q&A that you do fall into these people-pleasing, self-sacrificing behaviors. It's common knowledge for us to realize we're giving more than we're receiving in relationships. So most gay men are aware that they fall into this energy, but then they can't seem to get out of it, meaning they're aware that they're people pleasing, but the next time they're in a situation where they can choose differently, they don't. And that's because they haven't actually gotten to the root of the wound. They've only become aware of the behavioral pattern. They haven't gotten into the subconscious layers of why that's coming up for them. And that's what we do with our clients in energetic attraction coaching. Another common self-sabotaging pattern. Who's ready to hear about the second most common energetic pattern that we experience as gay coaches working with gay men all over the world? Type ready in the chat if you'd like to hear about the second. And type caregiver energy in the Q&A if you can relate to this pattern that we just described. Yeah, seeing some caregivers. Yeah, yeah, you're not alone. So, another common self-sabotaging energetic pattern is guarded, closed off, avoidant energy. Type me in the chat if this sounds like something you might be able to relate to. Guarded energy is when we have this fear of reliving pain that we've experienced in the past. It happens when we're afraid that we're going to get hurt again. We're going to get cheated on again. We're going to get our hopes up and be really disappointed again. And it makes us feel like we shouldn't put ourselves out there. We can't share too much. We can't fully make ourselves available because if we do, they might judge us, they might reject us, they might make fun of us. And that fear of a fear of judgment, rejection, embarrassment can feel so powerful that we just really close ourselves off and we almost give up. We might still go through the motions of going to events or using the dating apps, but we keep people at a distance because we're afraid if we let people in,
Mhm.
they'll take advantage of us, they'll hurt us.
Yeah, and I could also very much relate to this energy myself too, because I went through what felt like so much betrayal in my relationship with Zach, and I got to the point where I was guarded, where I felt like I couldn't be vulnerable around him. And there might have actually been times where it was the best thing for me to not be vulnerable around him. But eventually, even when it was safe to be open and vulnerable, I didn't feel safe to do that. And I even had thoughts of like, wow, if Zach and I don't last, if we don't make it, I can't possibly imagine myself trying to date anyone else again because I know I can be just fine being single and it's not worth like opening my heart up and
Mhm.
getting hurt again.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Michael asks, can you be a combination of two or more? I can relate to both. Yes, there's actually four main energetic self-sabotaging patterns that are all closely connected. The main two is the caregiver energy and the guarded energy. But the other one is settling and victim type of
Yeah.
energy. But yes, we can definitely have both.
Yeah, and not only that, but there's also layers to
Yeah.
both of them. There's layers. So it's not just like you get rid of your caregiver energy one day and it's all gone.
No.
You get rid of guarded energy one day and it's all gone. Like I still find where I have caregiver energy and guarded energy today.
Yeah.
And it sometimes that could show up with Zach, sometimes it could show up with a client
Yeah.
or a coach or a colleague or a friend or
Yeah.
like it shows up everywhere
Yeah.
and that's why like it's can be so tricky to see it on your own and that's why
Yeah.
it's we have all of these great support systems to help you master how to transcend it and
Yeah.
to expand beyond it and where things just keep getting better and
Yeah,
better.
it can feel extremely overwhelming, almost like whack-a-mole, because there's layers within each energetic frequency that will pop up to the surface as soon as you face one. There's another way that it will squirm around, and it can just feel like this never-ending battle. And this is why so many gay men, after a while, really give up on love and relationships, or they settle in a loveless relationship for good enough, because it can be so tough to face these patterns head on. But that's why it's so important to have someone to check your blind spots and to give you the tools and support to be able to navigate this in a way that really helps you get to the root core, the root cause. Another way guarded energy shows up is being skeptical, being just really curious of why someone would be interested in you or what they're really wanting when they show you interest or affection or attention. And it's
Mhm.
really doubting that they could authentically just want to know you or want to be with you. And this is really tough because how many of us have met scammers online? How many of us have met people who had bad intentions? This isn't coming from an irrational place. It's coming from learned behavior where you've been lied to, you've been cheated on, you've felt that pain, and we're so hyper concerned about feeling it again that we kind of put everybody in a category of, I can't fully trust you. If I let my guard down, I'll be devastated if I'm hurt again. And it's coming from this really guarded, really fear-based place. Yeah, I see many of you have experienced this. And it can even look like not trusting your partner. It's being nervous and anxious every time you see them get a text message because you're not sure whether or not he's talking to another guy, or if your partner has guy friends, wondering, is he cheating on me? I remember when Andrew and I first started dating, Andrew went on a hike with one of his ex-boyfriends. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm not going to say anything. But the whole time they were gone, all I could imagine was them fucking in the woods and how he's probably cheating on me. And I just felt so nervous and worried and insecure and afraid and just really bottled it all up, which is another part of guarded energy is not communicating what you really want, how you really feel, which is similar to caregiver energy in a way, but it's coming from a place of that fear and lack of trust that people will respect you or honor you or appreciate you. So there's a lot of common symptoms and factors that is where this comes from. This specific guarded energy comes from, as I said before, experiences where you have felt hurt and betrayed in the past, from the times when you did feel really devastated when you found out the guy that you gave your heart to was no longer interested, or if you've been betrayed or felt abandoned in the past. This creates this armor that we carry with us to protect ourselves, but these walls that we have to protect ourselves, they may prevent us from getting hurt again in that same way, but they do cause much more severe long-term pain because it also blocks us from the meaningful, reciprocal, balanced, loving, thriving connections that we all crave as human beings. We have to put ourselves out there on the playing field to experience the type of love and connection we desire, along with people who may or may not have the best of intentions. Working on our energy doesn't change anything outside of you, but it does change how you approach these situations. And ultimately, it's not that you're afraid or it's not that you don't trust other people. Ultimately, at the core of this guarded energy is a lack of trust in yourself. It's not trusting that you're going to be okay if you put yourself out there and he doesn't respond. It's not trusting that you're going to be okay if you open up to someone and they end up lying to you or cheating on you. It's not trusting that you will survive or be able to handle it. Just like Andrew felt like if we didn't work out, he didn't want to go through the motions of having to meet someone else and make a new connection because part of him didn't trust that he had the strength to deal with that possibility of getting hurt again. So what we get to do is we get to, really work on that self-trust. And so this is why when we work with our clients in energetic attraction coaching, one of the first things that we do is along with getting to the root cause of what's fueling your caregiver energy, we really look at these wounds of where you have felt hurt and abandoned or, even abused in the past and how those wounds impact you today, helping you build self-trust in yourself, helping you build the tools to regulate your nervous system to get out of fight, flight, or freeze response so that you can feel more safe, so that you can open yourself up to being more trusting, to knowing that you're going to be okay if you put yourself out there and he doesn't reciprocate. Or even trusting in yourself to recognize if someone proves themselves to not be meeting your standards in terms of honesty and transparency and truth, that you have the strength to walk away from that relationship and to set the boundaries and to honor them. This is what we do, is help equip you with those tools and those skills to really be able to step into what I call big king energy, which we'll be talking about in a moment.
Hmm. Yes. And so there's lots of reasons why. You want to talk about something specific?
I was wondering if we wanted to talk about things that other people try to get to the root of this, because, a lot of it really is getting to this
Right.
sense of self-doubt and this past
Okay.
programming. And, there are specific things that really
Yeah.
need to be looked at and faced. And so,
Right. So yeah, so like for example, I saw a question that was like, I'm 44 years old. I've done a lot of work on myself and I'm still single. Like I don't know what the next steps are. And we've worked with lots of guys who have done lots of therapy. They've worked with a therapist a lot. They've read lots of personal development books. We've actually coached a lot of therapists
sure.
who have not been able to have the breakthroughs. And it's like, why does this stuff not work for everyone? I think there's so much complexity. There's honestly so much expertise that comes in being a man who's able to have a lasting relationship with another man that gets richer and richer, better and better as time goes on. And here's the thing, it's there's nuances with dating men that's different than straight couples have, or even lesbians have. And you could say there's more challenges, but the way I view it is there's more opportunities. And I view it as there's more opportunities for it to be like the best it can possibly be. But sometimes it's like so okay, so I was just thinking about this morning. Change is the only constant. Things are only going to get better or they're going to get worse, and you're the creator of your reality. Your energy is going to determine that. And therapists, in my experience, they learn a lot of ways to reflect things, to help you see things
And understand
and
things
understand
and
things.
where it comes from.
Right, and where it comes from. But there's a whole new layer of mastery in being able to implement and align your energy, your actions, your communication with where you are at right now. And unless a therapist has a lot of experience in coaching gay men specifically in relationships, or maybe they're gay men themselves and have mastered it and have helped others do it, there's going to be lots of blind spots and a lot of little tricky patterns that get in the way that they're typically not able to see. And a lot of our clients are really smart, high-performing people whose little tricky energy patterns outsmart their own therapists.
It's true. And, and
Uh,
and like we talked about before, like with caregiver energy, it's like, there are different modalities that help you become aware of the problem and aware of why it's happening. But then it's like, why do so many gay men that I work with that have been in 10 years of therapy still fall into the same behavioral patterns when it comes to overgiving, self-sacrificing, people pleasing? It's
yeah.
taking it to the next level of going from dysfunctional to functional to a place of self-mastery with the tools, with the skills, with the
Hmm.
specific guidance and support that's solution focused, that's designed to help you really create that solid sense of foundation of self-trust and self-love and self-respect that's going to help you inspire your partner to meet you in a higher frequency. That's going to inspire the guys that you're interested in to return that affection and attention and an
Hmm.
effort. That's going to help you really rise to the occasion, especially when it comes to all of the nuances in dating and relationships that are so specific for gay men. And so we're not wanting to in any way say that therapy isn't a helpful or very powerful modality. It's very, very practical, especially when it comes to mental health and well-being and going from a place of of distress to a functional place. It's why it's so important just to help you understand where you are and what you really need to get to the place that you want
Yeah.
to be, maybe in a more streamlined and effective place. And with that being said, I'd love to move on to really what we're all here today, which is to not only identify the challenges and the problems, but to really look at the energetic frequency that my desire for you is to step more into, to embody, to really live, so that you can create more of the reciprocal, balanced, harmonious, thriving connections in your career,
Hmm.
in your family, with friends, and in romantic relationships. And it's an embodiment of an energy that really helps you master what Andrew and I have mastered, what we still have room for growth in, but
Hmm.
to really embody what we call your big king energy.
Yeah, and something I want to highlight too is like this is about you thriving. This is about you thriving as much as humanly possible. This isn't about just trying to solve problems. This is about you expanding into the energy where you feel like you are the richest, most powerful, glorious king of your kingdom.
Yes.
Like that's what this is about. And not a lot of people are living this way. So like we're passionate and inspired to help you like be like top 1%, 1 out of 1,000 people in terms of how confident you feel, how powerful you feel,
Hmm.
how magnetic you are, how attractive your energy is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's what we're interested in. And having a thriving partnership requires you to feel like you're absolutely thriving.
Yes.
And so for me, like me rising into my big king energy was like, okay, I know I'm fucking awesome. I know I have so much to offer. I know I don't need this man. I know I love him. I know right now our relationship is not something I'm gonna tolerate if these patterns continue. I also know right now it's not for me to exit and leave right now. I know there's more to uncover, but I'm choosing to thrive. I'm thriving as much as I possibly can, and he can meet me here or not. And this is the energy you want to be in when you're single, when you're dating,
Yeah.
where everywhere you go, because wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah. I'm going to
And
back up a bit and
okay.
I'm going to just really help you really embody before we get ahead of ourselves really what we're talking about when we say big king energy in a way that I think you'll be able to relate to. So, I want to explain to you the energetic shift that myself, Andrew, and all of our clients have made to actually create that healthy, harmonious, reciprocal relationship that we all crave. So, this is what we call big king energy. And this is where you've embodied a sense of worthiness. It's that aura that you carry, where it's no longer begging for love, no longer begging for attention. You just simply know that you're worth it. You can courageously and confidently communicate your desires with a boldness, with an assertiveness, without expectations, without demands, without whining and complaining. You know what you want. It's so crystal clear to you what you desire, and there's a trust and a knowing that not only are you worthy of having it, but you are going to have it because you have a taste for it. And nothing is going to stop you from having that thriving connection, that thriving relationship that you desire. Even if you're in a relationship, we teach our clients in unhealthy relationships the tools and skills to invite their partner to meet them halfway. But it's a knowing and trust, just like what Andrew just said, that I'm going to be okay with or without this person, and I'm not settling less for less than anymore. And when your partner sees you embodying that energy, they will know that they have to either meet you in a higher frequency or you're no longer going to be waiting around for them to catch up. It's coming
Hmm.
from this place of knowing, of self trust. You're open, you're honest, you're transparent, and you don't put up with bullshit. This energy is something that's, if something is not up to your standards, you stand up for yourself. You see yourself as a worthy being, and this confidence, it's what makes you magnetic. This confidence and sense of wholeness that you have within. And it's where you don't need another person to complete you. That's what actually gets your partner to feel connected. It's not in trying harder to be connected. It's actually pouring more of that energy, that love, that respect and trust into yourself. And when your partner, when guys that you like, when they see you embody this energy, it inspires them to meet you halfway. It inspires them to reciprocate your efforts. It inspires them to go out of their way to please and delight and be a great partner to you without needing to ask or remind or beg or plead or overfunction or overcompensate. None of that happens when you're in your big king energy. That is what big king energy is. Having high levels of energetic attraction. Again, it's that magnetic aura that you carry when you're operating from a place of wholeness, security, confidence, self love, and self respect. When you're no longer chasing after affection, you just know you're worthy of it. This is when you're grounded and solid within and it radiates outward. And that's the thing that actually gets your partner to be reciprocal and to respond to your needs, not you begging and chasing and talking about it.
Hmm. And this also includes, again, it's not being guarded either. It's also being able to be compassionate and kind and understanding if someone is not operating in the way that you truly desire.
Mm-hmm.
It also means not cutting someone out of your life just because they make a mistake
Right.
and you're like, oh, no, bye. Like it's also being able to just stand in the fire sometimes and not run away when you don't know what's going to happen.
Right. It's a trusting, it's a loving energy. It's a loving power. It's a presence. It's a magnetic dynamic where yeah, you don't just cut people off, but you do recognize if we're not doing the same dance after repeated efforts to invite them to meet me halfway, you don't settle and stay in relationships that aren't serving you, that aren't working for you. It doesn't make anybody good or bad or right or wrong. It's just not a win-win. And in big king energy, you're constantly seeking win-win scenarios where both people in the dynamic are both winning. And that's a place of seeing opportunities and possibilities everywhere you go. We're not focused on problems, we're focused on solutions. But sometimes, after a while, the solution might be, hey, I love you, but sometimes love isn't enough. If it's not working, the most loving choice might be eventually to walk away. But what we do at Game Man Thriving and energetic attraction coaching is teach you all of the tools and skills to help facilitate you fostering that loving connection. The same thing that Andrew and I enjoy today. We had a lot of tools and skills and support that were required for us to overcome our energetic programming that were blocking us from being in this high level of energy, from having that were blocking us from having this level of reciprocal, balanced, loving, passion, intimacy, just magnetic sex that just keeps getting better and better. And this is what happens when you learn how to fully embody your big king energy as an individual. It inspires and invites people to meet you there, and your energy becomes magnetic.
Right, and most of all, you enjoy yourself so much more. This is like whenever we work with anyone, single, partnered, we are there to support you in enjoying your life more today. Like making decisions, showing up in ways that allow you to start enjoying life more, feeling richer, feeling more abundant, more expansive, more powerful because it's just more fun to be yourself when you're owning this big king energy. You're not doing it necessarily so that you can have a better partner.
Right.
You're doing it for yourself. This is about you putting yourself first and foremost, and you deciding that, yeah, no matter what anyone does or says, I'm fucking awesome. I'm enjoying my life, and I'm creating amazing experiences
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah, with Big King Energy, there's an unlimited amount of self-love and self-trust and self-respect where you know that you are worthy, you know that you're good enough. There's nothing to overcompensate for because you know that your value is you being you. And so instead of thinking, what can I do to earn this person's love and affection, you know that you want to be in a relationship where both people are together because you choose each other, you want each other, you get to be together. It's no more needing the other person to fill certain needs or certain voids within you. It's having a full cup and then showing up in the world with that full cup, with more capacity to give and to love and to connect. It's such a beautiful state of being. And stepping more into this energy is what's helped me feel like every day can be the best day ever, where this relationship can just keep getting better and better, more and more passionate, more and more
Mhm.
intimate, more and more connected, where we're not afraid to have the big conversations. We don't brush things under the rug or bottle them up and then wait till it feels unbearable to speak about it. We're assertive and proactive in naming and addressing the things head on with kindness, with respect. We've learned the courageous communication skills to be able to truly hear each other and own our feelings, own our thoughts, own our interpretations so that we can create a mutual understanding and respect. We're in a place where when we have disagreements, they turn into opportunities for us to see each other in a more deep and meaningful way. And the little bumps in the road make us stronger as a couple because they make us stronger as individuals. It's what helps me continue to see Andrew through the lens of curiosity as an ever growing, ever changing being. I show up with big king energy, which is a curiosity, and that's what keeps the magnetic spark alive. Because that mystery, that newness, and that novelty can continue to grow and expand in an 8.5, 10 plus, 20 plus, 30 plus year relationship when you show up with this type of energy. And it doesn't happen overnight. To get to this energetic state, there's a lot of things that we have to look at. We have to look at how caregiver energy, settling energy, and the other lower energetic frequencies are blocking us by getting to the root cause of the self-doubt and the insecurities and the self-sabotaging behaviors as a result of that, the freezing up, the guardedness, the overthinking, the overgiving, the self-sacrificing, the trying too hard, the settling, tolerating, all the things that block you from being in your most confident, most empowered, and most secure state. We teach you the specific tools and skills. This is what has to happen is learning the specific tools and skills to go from the questioning and the doubting and the fear and the avoidance to a secure, trust, self-love, self-confident place where you give yourself permission to explore the world with curiosity. You give yourself permission to put yourself out there and you build the courage and the self-trust to know that you will land on your feet, where you give yourself permission to take risks and put yourself out there. And really, as a big king of your kingdom, go for the things that you most want, knowing that you're going to be okay and your self-worth and value isn't a reflection of how other people see you because everyone isn't always going to pick up what you're putting down. Your big king energy is an unshakable, solid, grounded in your worth, grounded in your value, knowing what matters most to you. And from there, learning the courageous communication skills to articulate your wants, needs, and desires with a boldness, with a conviction, without fear of showing people who you really are, but with a freedom to fully express yourself. Another thing that makes my relationship with Andrew so hot and passionate is our freedom, hot and passionate is our freedom to really communicate our desires with each other. What we really like, what feels good, what we enjoy sexually, romantically, being able to communicate in that way is just what keeps us constantly rediscovering each other and inviting each other to just transcend to higher and higher levels of joy and bliss and connection. This is the pathway that is available to each and every one of you. But to get there, it does require the right tools, the right guidance, the right support, and that is what we offer in energetic attraction coaching. Tomorrow, we're going to talk more about the pathway and specifically for each of you, how to forge the keys to your kingdom. And this is where we're going to turn the insights that we've had today into action. Together, we'll be creating a bold vision for your kingdom, help you get clear on what your ideal relationship looks and feels like so that you can taste it. Our pure desire is our North Star. It's our guiding light that's always going to pull us out of conflict and overthinking and doubt and people pleasing. And getting clarity on what that is for you is a big thing we'll be diving into tomorrow. And we will have the chat function figured out, so we'll be able to communicate more effectively. We're going to be teaching you how to align your energy to feel more confident and grounded and magnetic in your relationships and explore the next steps to creating meaningful relationships built on mutual desire, trust, and respect. We've so enjoyed connecting with you today. Thank you for spending time with us. I hope this was insightful. You know, the big objective today was to just really help you have more clarity of the biggest mistakes that you might be unknowingly falling into because awareness is power. It is so important to be able to identify these these hamster wheels that we unknowingly stay in and fall into time and time again. And tomorrow, we're going to take this awareness to the next level together and really help you create a roadmap for what's next. I hope this has been helpful for you. Honey, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, this was a joy. It was a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing y'all again soon.
And thank you for joining me today.
You're
I
welcome.
love you.
Mm.
And much love to all of you. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time, same link. Bye for now.